What are you doing?
You took my gun. I want it back.
You get out.
What's up? I'm Ashley, and we're going to break down from Season 3, Episode 7. Let's get into it. At the clinic, Fatima still can't believe she's not pregnant. She tells them she's been having these cravings for about a week. Christy tells her she thinks she's having a psychosomatic pregnancy, which is when the body thinks it's pregnant. Fatima says, oh, so hysterical pregnancy. You think I'm hysterical. Mariel says, no one thinks you're hysterical. I mean, because look at Boyd. He had bugs crawling in his skin, and he don't have them no more. He fine now. Ellis says to Fatima, here, have some water. She said, I don't want that, and threw it on the floor. Now somebody gotta clean up the glass and the water. Didn't she just tell y'all she wants blood and rotten food? She don't want no water. Christy says, just stay here for the night. She said, I don't want to stay here. I want to go home. So she gets up to go home. Ellis says, no, it's raining. She said, I don't care about the rain. Why do I care if it's raining outside? I'm going home. What's wrong with you? Then Mariel says, I'm going to spend the night at Colony House, and once I'm there, I'll be able to start up an IV. And once she leaves, Christy tells Boyd, you should have told me about her cravings before I did that ultrasound. Boyd said it wasn't my place. She said, really? Now you want to mind your business? She said, I could have used that information before the exam. I can't help if I don't know what's going on. He said, oh, you want to yell at me. Once you're done, you want to figure out what's wrong? She said, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know how to help. She said either she has something inside of her we can't see, or this place has really got to her head and she thinks she's pregnant. Boyd said, okay, how do we figure out which one it is? She said, I don't know. He said, how do we help her? She said, I have no idea how to help her. He said, well, do your job and figure it out. Then he goes outside and leaves her standing there. Victor tells Jasper, you need to talk. Talk! You need to talk to me. Victor's getting fed up. Then Henry comes in the room and says, you need to stop. You've been up all night, all day, and I can hear you screaming at this doll all the way from downstairs. He said, it's not healthy. It's just a doll. Victor said, you don't understand. You wasn't there. Then puts on his jacket and gets out of there because his daddy just don't understand. At Colony House, Elgin shows Tilly the gift he made Fatima and the baby. And once Tilly walks away, the camera takes a picture all by itself. But when Elgin goes to look at the picture, we don't get to see what it is at that moment. Then upstairs, while Marielle is giving Fatima an IV, she tells Fatima she knows how it feels to be violated by this place too, and that at sometimes she can still feel the cicadas inside of her body. But she reminds herself it's not real and that it's just fear, and that fear can only break her if she lets it. Fatima said, that's not the same. I'm not over here eating spoiled food because I'm afraid or because I'm broken. It's making me. Literally. Marielle leaves when Ellis walks in the room. Fatima says to Ellis, why does no one believe me? You don't even believe me. Then she gets something to measure her stomach and says, see, my stomach is growing. It's growing. See? Look. I don't like how people are trying to make Fatima seem like she's crazy. She knows what's going on inside of her body. It's her body. She points out she's getting angry and the cravings are getting even stronger, which only means Fatima is almost gone. Donna and Boyd talk about how nothing showed up on that ultrasound machine and how Christy thinks it could be something similar to his worm situation, or it could just be all in her head. Donna tells him, well, if it's like your worm thing, then we'll figure that out. But if it's psychological and anything similar to Abby, then we'll just have to find a way to bring her back. Boyd said, just keep this between us. I'm going to have a talk with Christy later. Then maybe she'll be able to. Donna said, be able to what? Boyd said, look, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just telling you because we promised to tell each other everything and don't keep any secrets. What's wrong with you? Plus, she lives with you. Donna said, yeah, about that. She gonna need to find somewhere else to live until we can figure this all out. Boyd's like, well, I guess they'll have to stay with me. Donna said, oh, come on now. They don't have to leave right now. Boyd said, nah, we're okay. We're okay.
Hey, you and me, we're okay.
When Jim is almost done packing up the food, one of the people he's with says, whatever those things were that were banging around last night didn't sound like those things back home. I still think it's the spider, but we'll just have to see. Then Ethan, Tabitha, and Jay walk up, and Jim says, what's going on? Ethan tells him, Mom saw this place when she was little, just like Victor's mom. Once hearing this, Jim decides to stay with them as he should, while the other two he was with go back home. Then we see Randall leaving the clinic with Julie going inside. She tells him she's going to be spending the night there since her whole family is at the settlement and it's creepy being in the house by herself. He tells her he's going on a walk. She says, "You want me to come with you?" He says, "No," but she goes with him anyway. We get back to Elgin and we find out that the picture that came out of the camera was of the cellar. So Elgin decides to go to the cellar himself. When he goes inside, he opens up a door that takes him to a wooden cabinet. When he opens it, there's nothing there, so he decides to close it and leave. But as he's walking away, he hears a knock, so he turns back around. When he goes back, he decides to push it instead of opening it, and when he does that, he finds a red door. When he opens it, he finds a bed and a small table. We see Acosta at the cemetery and she's standing over what most likely is Nikki's grave. Then we see Kenny, who's in the diner, who seems to be reminiscing when Acosta walks in and says, "Why is there a diner here? And why is there a sheriff's office that looks like a post office that could be a traveling agency? What's going on here?" And I asked that same question because the town is set up very odd. She wants to know why no one is trying to figure out how to go home. Kenny is calm and he says, "Do you want me to answer these questions one at a time or," cuz she's coming at him crazy and I don't appreciate it. But she want to know, why is no one asking any questions around here? We get back to the settlement where Ethan says to Jade, "Who do you think lived out here? What do you think happened to them?" Jade said, "I don't know, but you know what? Watch out for the bear traps." Jim says to Tabitha, "You've been through a lot, so maybe there's a part of you that wants all of this to make sense." She said, "You think I'm making this up? This wasn't just a random nightmare. This is a dream I had over and over again. What's wrong with you?" She said, "You want me to just give up?" Jim said, "I don't know. I thought I had this place figured out, and I almost got Donna killed. And Sarah, he brings up Sarah. He said, Sarah tried to kill our kid." She said, "This don't got nothing to do with Sarah. This not the same thing." Julie and Randall are having small talk on their walk while Julie is telling him about her family and Randall tells her that he's out there looking for mushrooms for Marielle and Christy. Then she brings up how she never learned to drive and how she never got her learner's permit because Thomas died. Kenny tells Acosta when everyone first gets there, they all think they're going to be able to figure it out, then realize you just can't. Acosta said, "I'm not the one to just give up. I'm not built like that." He tells her, "Every question you have, everyone before you has had before. You're not special, girl. I don't care how you say you built. You just find a way to adapt." Then Kenny brings up how he lost both of his parents there. Then asked Acosta if she had any family. She said, "No, not really." And I think that's something we need to pay attention to because what's her first name? Nobody know. I saw an interview she did recently where they asked her what was Acosta's first name and she said she couldn't reveal that yet. That just says to me something major is going to be revealed about her character and she's probably related to someone in town. Kenny is being so kind and making her some tea because I would never. And he says, "But hey, at least we have the talisman. Boyd found them out in the woods." Acosta said, "Oh, great. That's why he acts like the god king of the world." Kenny tries to defend him and then tells her there's clothes she can change into at Colony House to feel more comfortable. She said, "I don't want your clothes. I don't plan on getting comfortable here." Then the music box comes on and plays, "Ooh, child. Things are going to get easier." But no, it won't. She looks at Kenny and says, "Oh, so you get comfortable with that too, huh?" And as she's walking out, she says to Kenny, "Thanks for the tea." Kenny said, "But you didn't even drink it." Then Bokta walks in and says to Kenny, "I wanted to talk to you about reopening the diner." We get back to Elgin in the cellar, and while he's looking through the room, he finds a dead body. That's when he turns around and says to Kimono Lady, "Is this really where it happens?" "Where what happened?" "And we don't see him no more." Then anxiously, Victor goes over to Sarah's house. He's knocking on the door. He like bang, bang, bang. And of course, he has Jasper with him. And when she opens the door, he says, "Do you have a basement?" She said, "Why?" And he says, "Because I need him to tell me a secret." So she lets him in. And we don't see them no more either. Randall and Julie take the car they use for emergencies at Colony House to teach Julie how to drive. He says, "This is an emergency." Then Donna is inside doing the dishes and she looks overwhelmed. So she takes a little break. And as she does that, Henry walks in the kitchen looking through the cabinets. Donna sees him and says, "What you looking for?" He said, "A drink." "In the cabinet?" "That's suspicious. Wouldn't you look for a drink in the refrigerator?" Maybe he was looking for some alcohol because I think he's an alcoholic. But Donna says, you know what? So could I. Let's go. Boyd gets to the station and he realizes someone has been inside. He hears a noise and says, who's in there? Then here comes Acosta walking out. He said, what you doing? She said, you took my gun. I want it back. He said, get out. So she continues to look through his things. He's like, hey, 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 you shot someone. She said, I know. I panicked. I was being chased by things that look like they're from a nightmare. He said, well, they exist here and they're going to continue to exist. So until you can prove to me that you can handle it, you're not getting your gun back. She said, I don't have to prove nothing to you. I'm a real cop, and shows him her badge. He said, when did you get out the academy? 2-3 days ago? I really wish he would have looked at her badge because what is her first name? But she tells him, that's none of your business. Boyd said, you are my business. This town is my business. You know why? Because I keep everyone alive. She looked him right in the eye and said, well, from what I hear, you haven't been doing a good job lately. Boyd said, get out! She said, give me my gun. Boyd said, okay, you want your gun? Okay. He takes down the board, reaches through the hole in the wall, and takes out her gun. But first, he takes out all of the bullets and says, you'll get your bullets back when I think you deserve them. And as she's walking out, he says, you come in here again without my permission? Me and you gonna have a problem. She looks at him and says, whatever you say, Sheriff, with a smile. Ooh, girl. Boyd and Kenny got some patience. Donna and Henry are at the bar, and Henry is looking at Jade's drawings of the bottle tree and his numbers. And even though he's probably just interested, I still don't trust Henry. Because why he looking at it like that? But while they both have a drink, he tells Donna he doesn't think things are going well between him and Victor. He admits to her he wishes he never came here and that Tabitha never found him, because he thought things were easier when he thought Victor was dead. We get back to the settlement where Ethan says, are these the same ones from your dream? Tabitha says it's not just the stones, it's everything, it's how it feels. She can still feel the fear she had when she was running. She describes the dream and said she would hide behind the rocks, but when she would look up to see what it was, she would wake up. I don't know if anyone else caught it, but she said whatever was making everyone scream was on the other side of this rock. So there were other people with her in her dream. The question is, who? Then Jade says, Miranda said she was chosen. She's seen this place in visions and in dreams, and you've seen this place ever since you were a child, so you never really even had a chance. Jim said, what you mean by that? It means if it was always fate for you to come here ever since you were a child, then you were always going to see that tree in the road. Tilly asked Ellis how is Fatima. He's like, we taking it one day at a time. She said, you don't gotta lie to me. She already told me about the rotten food and the cravings. And, I know you don't know me very well, but I'm always here for you. So Ellis decides to tell her everything. He said, we did an ultrasound and we didn't find anything. She's not pregnant. Tilly had to take her jacket off for that one. She got hot. Then she starts talking about how a good friend told her not to grieve the living before they're gone. And that's what I told my family when I first got my diagnosis. Ellis is like, okay, well, why you want to help us so much? She said, I'm old and I got cancer and I love a good love story. If this is how love goes, I don't want no parts. Then upstairs, Fatima is in bed, and when she sees her IV, she throws up. And then all of a sudden, she gets this stomach pain where her stomach is sucked all the way in. So far in, I bet it's touching her spine. If it's a baby in there, I don't know how, because where the baby got room at? Ain't no room in there now. But then once Ellis comes in the room, her stomach goes back to normal. Then here comes Tilly looking suspicious with some tea. Why's she over there looking like that? Then while Randall and Julie are out driving, Randall sees the cicadas again, but Julie can't see him. She's like, what's wrong with you? He starts freaking out so bad he has to stop the car and starts rolling around on the ground. He's like, let's go home, and goes off into the forest, and Julie goes after him. Meanwhile, Ellis is at the clinic trying to take medicine for Fatima, thinking it will calm her down. But Christy is trying to stop him, but she can't do too much because she walking with crutches. Christy tells him if you give those to her, it's just going to make things worse. And I know you don't want that. Don't nobody want that. I'm guessing he's here because of that follow-up conversation he wanted to have with Christy, because how would he know what's going on? Anyway, Boyd helps calm Ellis down. Ellis leaves the medication on the counter and then goes outside. But if you zoom in, the name on the medication is M. Thompson. So who is that? Boyd goes after Ellis outside and Ellis says, "What am I supposed to do? I saw what happened to you and your worms, and I saw what happened to Mom. What nightmare am I supposed to be afraid of?" He said, "Fatima is falling apart right in front of my eyes, and I don't know how to help her. How am I supposed to help her?" I don't think it's a coincidence that Julie and Randall ended up at the dungeon ruins, the same place that they were possessed at. Julie said, "Do you feel that?" Randall said, "Come on, let's go." She said, "No, but do you feel that?" Randall doesn't want to admit it, but yeah, he feel it too. But he want to get out of there. So they both leave because it's getting dark soon and they have to get the van back to Colony House. Fatima is back at the garden house and she takes out her huge pot of spoiled food. But this time she doesn't eat it, she just looks at it, even with her cravings getting worse. Maybe she's trying to deny the cravings because she doesn't want to do it anymore and she knows that's not normal. Or she's thinking, how did I even get here? And as she's walking out, I don't think her body liked that she didn't eat it, so her stomach started hurting again. And while she's bending over in pain, Tilly comes in all creepy like and says, "You're not alone, I'm gonna help you. Everything is gonna be okay." But Fatima is saying, "Just go." But Tilly's not listening. She keeps telling her everything's gonna be okay. Fatima said, "Just go," and stabs her right in the chest. She instantly realizes what she did and she can't believe it. She's like, "No, no, no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Help, help." But it's too late. Tilly looks at her and says, "You have to run. Not how could you do this? What's wrong with you? It's you have to run." Maybe Tilly was going to help her and knew how, because this just can't be it for Tilly. It just can't be. I mean, she's just so creepy. And even if she is really dead, I think we're going to find out something else about Tilly because we just have to. This just can't be it. Ellis did see Fatima stab Tilly and he will not be a snitch because that's his woman and he gonna stick beside her. But y'all let me know your thoughts on this episode down in the comments so we can talk about it. And if you haven't already and want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video and I'll see you in my next one.